Welcome to my shop again. Today we're going to do a little bowl. Well, we're not actually going to do the whole bowl for you, but this was a challenging piece because it was turned years ago and left for scrap, and we dug it out and made something nice. I found this old bowl sitting in a reject pile from years ago. Still has the glue line on it from being held with the glue block. It had some punky spots in it. I think that's probably why it was abandoned. And when it was wet, it had punky spots in it, so I just let it go before I had it done. I took some thin CA glue and saturated these and see if that would stabilize this so that I can put it back on the lathe and see if it's salvageable. But it has some obstacles. Let's talk about how we're going to do that. Well, let's take a look at this and see how out of round it is. I'm almost 7.5 inches, just shy of 7.5 inches at the widest part, and I'm 7.25 at the lowest part. So I'm 1/4 of an inch off round, and I'm only a 1/2 inch thick. So I don't have a whole lot of wiggle room. I need to put this back on the lathe so when I chew this up and make it round again that I have wood left over and there's enough to make a bowl out of it. So how am I going to do that? How are we going to position this? I'm going to start between centers just to put this back on a glue block or a chuck. I never use chucks, but just to put this immediately on a permanent axis. I'm not sure exactly where it's going to sit and how this rim is going to be salvaged. So I'm lucky here that the thickness in the bottom is a little bit thicker than the wall, so the thinnest part of the bowl is right out at the rim. So that's what I'm going to have to be careful about, that rim I can have some wood left over when I do a bowl. So I'm going to start between centers so that I can maneuver this. I'm going to start with just a waste block here on the inside and bring my tailstock up. With my glue block method, I always have a little drill dimple in there, right there. And so that's going to give me a good starting point, but that's not necessarily, because this is all distorted from the drying. So we're going to just gently sneak up on this. I'm going to find the spot that's the closest to the tool rest. Okay, and that's it right there. All right, so now I'm exactly 3/8 of an inch from my tool rest. Okay, now I want to go all the way around 180 degrees to the other side. And now I am very close. I'm within a 64th. So I'm really cool there from pith to pith through the bowl. Now let's look at the side grain of the bowl. This is the end grain of the bowl. All right, so now I'm about 1/8 of an inch away on that side. Now let's do 180 degrees. Look at the other side grain, all the way over here, and I'm about 1/8 of an inch. Okay, now I can tighten this up and make a bowl out of it, and know that I'm going to be have wood left over when I thin it out. Had I found a spot here, and I guess this is really lucky that it ended up balanced in my first go round, but I'm between centers here. If this was off, I can scooch it over in the middle where it sits on the glue block with the faceplate. I can scooch it over at the tailstock end and tilt it. I can move it north-south, east-west. I can tilt it. I can move both headstock and tailstock over if I want to, keep it in the same plane. So the starting between centers is really important here to being able to get this oriented correctly. Okay, let's evaluate this a little bit. This is running really true here. This is nice. This is running pretty true here. That's not bad. This is running with a little bit of wobble. See my finger wobble a little bit, but it's wobbling equal distance on north, south, and east, west. So that's the key, that this is lined up so that there'll be wood left over when I get done. Okay, let's clean this up and put another glue block on here. Basically, I'm just taking the glue off. Let's clean this up, make it nice and concave. Another challenge now. I'm going to put a glue block or chuck, whatever, how I'm going to hold this. Again, I don't use chucks, but a glue line, a glue block here is going to be able to be centered because I have the little drill dimple in there, and the cone put a little dent in there that's going to be centered to where this is positioned. Now with the pull cut, it's important that I have my handle down. So I showed you in the inset picture how low the handle is, tucked way into my thigh here. The handle's low. In the above picture, you look at the bevel is touching the wood. Now I'm going to roll my wrist, get a little whisk of a shaving, and pull it forward so that that bevel is in support, and I'm slicing through the fibers. Look at the shavings that are going to be left behind there. Nice small shavings that are delicate. I don't want to take a lot of wood here. I just want to get that wobble out and true up the surface. And we'll bevel first, roll my wrist, pull it forward. With the camera right above, get a close-up now of that bevel support. The bevel's touching the wood with no cut happening. I'm going to roll my wrist, get it over, little whisk of a shaving, and then pull it forward. All right, I'm starting to get into where it was punky, and that's good. That's nice and solid now with that thin CA glue, saturated that. I'm going to switch to shear scraping now, and again I left the inset in there so you can see the handle is way down on shear scraping so that I have a steep angle of scraping with the lower edge of my bowl gouge. And you can see in the camera where I'm going to be cutting. Now I'm taking just very delicate cuts and refining the line. Little tiny angel here. I don't want to take a whole lot of wood because I might be making a thin bowl here on the wobble on the inside, but I want to refine the line very delicately in control of the shape that I want. Now that I've got this all shear scraped nice and clean, I can start sanding this with about 320 grit. Got a nice shape now, took that little flat spot out. Got all that refined. Now I can go on the inside, and the inside's going to wobble now. So I have to take it slowly and take it in small stages. Okay, brand new sharp edge just off the grinder. Let's get some of this inside away here. Now I'm going to take light cuts and small cuts so that I don't tax this. There's some relatively thin spots down towards the bottom because of the wobble. Right. All right, I'm cool. I'm really happy with this because there's no vibration. Yeehaw. So now I can just take it down like any other bowl and get this to be a thin wall. Take it down in stages. Stop and measure often so that I know just a hair bit thicker towards the bottom. Have to make an adjustment there. Line up the bevel first with the existing surface. There's my little whisk of a shaving. Move it out. Make a little adjustment. As you can see, it turned out I still have quite a bit of wood. There's a thin spot here and a thicker spot here. Still have quite a bit of wood there to support my cuts. That's the important thing, that when I do that outside shape, that I don't have a thin spot that's going to allow vibration out here, and then I'd be dead in the water. Okay, I'm thinking in fractions. About 3/16 thick now. I'm going to take about half of that, so I'll be about 3/32. Make this, it's going to be a real nice decorative bowl with all of the color and character. So I'm going to make it thin and fragile, so it's not designed to be a functional bowl. But I'm going to take one more cut. I'm going to take about half of what's left there. Okay, we're going to pick up the cut here, line up the bevel first, move it over, take about half of that. Leaves it about a 1/16 of an inch wall thickness left. Nice slow pace. Sharp tool I just sharpened just before I took this cut. And we're going to do it down in stages. We're not going to finish the bowl, just show you the process here. Stages are small because we don't want it to vibrate. The last cut I just go sharpen again. And we're going to pick up line up the bevel before that stage and just proceed right on through it. Nice thin wall. Slow pace because I don't want it to vibrate. And a fast speed of the lathe and a slow pace means a clean cut. There we go. Let me try to get a close-up of that for you. It's got quite a bit of character. That's why I dug it out of the scrap pile, and turned out nicely. So thanks for watching, and don't forget to support my sponsors and subscribe. If you hit the little bell, you'll get notification of when I post new videos, so that you know when something new is coming up. So, and we will see you next time.